Hey everyone. Thank you for coming to the symposium. First of all, it's great to see everyone's faces in person, especially when we've been meeting online for a while too. I'm Jack. Uh, I'm a graduate student researcher at Scripps Institution of Oceanography with my advisors Joshua Jones and John Hildebrand. And I study Arctic marine mammals using passive acoustic monitoring in the Whale Acoustics Lab. And today I'm going to be presenting you guys on my work throughout the year on the impacts of ship noise on narwhal echolocation behavior. Cool, so just to begin, narwhals, very charismatic megafauna. They have big tusk that's actually a tooth. And they live in the high Arctic, in the regions between in the Canadian Arctic and Greenland, a little bit further east. And narwhals are a highly migratory species. They're incredibly important to Arctic ecosystems, both as a tertiary consumer, as well as being fitting a very specific niche within a very limited range. It's the most endemic species of marine mammal to the Arctic, meaning it has the most narrow range of a marine mammal species in the Arctic. And moreover, they're very important to indigenous communities in the Canadian and Greenland Arctic. Inuit communities have relied on narwhal for subsistence for over 2,000 years now. It's really important to their cultural practices. So just moving forward, this is the site we've been working at since 2016. It's in Eclipse Sound, which is in northern Baffin Island. You can see Greenland on the right side. And we've been studying this area because this is one of the largest summering grounds for narwhal in the world. And it's also a region where shipping has been rapidly increasing in the area due to a nearby mine in Pond Inlet, which is within Eclipse Sound. As well as the main point is that we've been working with an indigenous community in Pond Inlet for many years, and it's been a big concern for them to know what the impacts of the shipping are on narwhal populations in the area. So our work has been based on that focus and that question that's been put forward. Just to begin, and just to talk about narwhals for a second. Not sure if this will work. That's fine. However, I'll ask Josh to make some sounds a little bit. Narwhals are part of the suborder Odontocetes, meaning that they're toothed whales. And most toothed whales produce many sounds for echolocation, that's for foraging and navigation, as well as other sounds that are used for social communication. I could make the noises. Most of them are way out of our hearing range, actually. We hear up to about 23 kilohertz, and they're producing echolocation clicks peaking around 40 to 50 kilohertz. And so sound is really important to these creatures. So if there's an environmental perturbation that has to do with sound, such as anthropogenic noise caused by naval sonar, shipping, it could have a lot of implications for their health and for the populations. And this has been something that's only been recently studied in the past 20 to 30 years, and it's a rapidly growing field. So just to go back into like where we're studying in this area in Eclipse Sound, where ships are actually just coming through. We use these things called high-frequency acoustic recording packages, which were developed by John Hildebrand in our lab. And they're pretty much the best systems out there in terms of recording underwater noise. They record for about a year at 200 kilohertz continuously with really low noise floors. And that allows us to pick up a wide range of noise levels, ranging from low frequency signals of ships to very high frequency signals of toothed whales like narwhals. And also, big thing about underwater noise is that sound underwater underwater sound has pretty unique properties that allow it to propagate much further distances. Low frequency noises can be picked up hundreds of kilometers away, and sounds like narwhals that narwhals create in high frequencies, which are attenuated more, you can still pick them up within a kilometer of our site. So yeah, let's move on. And so when we take these recording devices out of the water and we collect the data off of them, then comes where we use MATLAB in a big way. And we've, as a lab, created a program on MATLAB called Triton, which allows us to analyze our acoustic data. And this is what happens first if you load your data on a MATLAB. Here we see a spectrogram. The y-axis is frequency, the x-axis is time in hours. And we're actually looking at narwhals right here. These are echolocation clicks. There's some lower frequency sounds by narwhal social behavior. And so you have the spectrogram, and then you can look at more. You can look at the X-wave file, which actually goes into what we were looking at before, which is called a long-term spectral average. And we can get a lot better resolution with the X-wave files, which build that LTSA, but the LTSA allows us to look through larger amounts of data because we're looking at many years of data. But, and I have some sounds here, but again, I'll maybe make some sounds at the end for narwhals. Moreover, with Triton, we also have these tools we call remoras. And have you ever heard of remora? It's one of these things that attaches to shark. It's a commensal to sharks. And these remoras allow us to do a lot of really cool things with our data. For example, we have a spice detector, which helps us detect echolocation clicks in our data. And then from that spice detector, we can run clustering, and we can get something like this, which is a time series of our data for 1 year of our narwhal echolocation clicks over an entire year. We also have sea ice data here, and you can kind of see that narwhals follow the breakup and freeze up of the ice. They're, again, highly migratory species, and they follow that ice edge. As it's breaking up, they're following it, and they use that for protection from predators like orcas. We can talk about that a little later. But with our data, we're, again, picking up these echolocation clicks, and then we're using our remoras to then, which then gives us a lot of data. And it gives us echolocation click presence, click counts, frequency spectra of the clicks, received levels, whole bunch of stuff. But what we were looking at for this research was essentially presence and absence, narwhals, and the echolocation click counts. We were getting this data for every single minute of all of our deployments. And that, again, goes from 2016 to the end of 2021. So it's a lot of data. But let's go back to the ships, right? So we're talking about how ship noise is impacting narwhal echolocation behavior. So ships produce really low frequency sounds, but when they're closer by, they produce higher frequency sounds. So the way we characterize that for this project is sounds between 10 and 10,000 hertz. And again, shipping is rapidly increasing in the high Arctic due to opening of the Northwest Passage. That's due to rapidly decreasing sea ice, economic expansion with increased access to oil and mining in the area. And so when we're trying to get our noise data, we are, again, looking at a frequency band between 10 and 10,000 hertz. And we're getting sound pressure levels between there. And within that, we're going to, again, make a time series of those sound pressure levels for each minute. And in each minute, we're going to find the average, the maximum, and minimum of our sound pressure levels. And that's going to go for all of our data as well. But we got more data on ships as well using satellite AIS data. AIS, it stands for Automatic Information System. And AIS data gives us every 5 seconds. Every 5 seconds, it'll send us data on every ship within the coordinates we selected. It gives us ship ID, vessel location, speed, and course heading. And we selected a radius within our site, generally a 40-kilometer radius. We were able to expand that radius up to 100 kilometers, but there's some issues that come with expanding that radius. And that's because Milne Inlet, where the mine is, that's where the ships are coming through and they'll stop. And the sound is really contributing to the noise at our site in Pond Inlet just because of how the inlet is closed off. So there's some challenges with the geography in the area and trying to find a proper radius to count when ships are coming through. So what we're working with right now, and we're still thinking about, is a 40-kilometer radius. And within that radius, we analyzed for the range of the closest ship to the site, the speed of each ship, the ship type, number of ships in the radius, and the aspect of the ships, meaning whether the ship is coming towards the site or away, because that creates different sound levels if the ship's moving away or towards. But when we're looking at our data, just going back to the LTSA and what we're looking at our acoustic data, this is what we see a lot. We're seeing narwhals are present, they're echolocating, and then again on the top we have ship distance coming from 40 kilometers to the closest point of arrival at 0.6 kilometers. And we're seeing that the echolocation behavior is decreasing, or the echolocation counts are decreasing as that ship comes closer. You can see around 20 kilometers in this case, there's a decrease, and then the ship's there and it's quiet. And then about 20 kilometers later, we're hearing the narwhals again. Do we know exactly what they're doing? Are they not diving? Are they swimming away? Or are they just being quiet? That's not what we're analyzing in this data, but we just want to know how it's impacting their echolocation behavior. But again, we get this big time series. We get a lot of data for every minute of all the years we're looking at. We get our marine, or our narwhal data. We got our ship data. We also have ice data and time of day. But this is kind of what we're at right now. We don't have, this is an ongoing project, but here's what I've seen recently with kernel density estimates. So the shaded blue area is effort for what we're looking at in these kernel density estimates. And you can see on the left graph, we have ship range. And you can see that there's a higher amount of effort closer to the site with the ship range. And that's just a thing with geometry and ships coming through, and you're always going to pick up the closest ship. But we can see that even though there's more effort in those closer ranges, we're getting lower normalized counts of narwhal presence. stands for Monodon monoceros, which is their Latin name. But we're seeing a drop off, and again, we're seeing a big drop off within 20 kilometers. And on the right graph, we have a similar thing we're looking at, which is with increased receive levels. So you can see that when a ship is within that 40-kilometer range, and for all of our data, we're getting more effort again at the higher receive levels, and there's a big drop off of narwhal normalized presence as we get above 100 decibels. And you have to think just a slight increase in decibels is a major increase because it's a logarithmic scale. But overall, narwhals are really important to Inuit communities and Arctic ecosystems, and right now they're under a lot of anthropogenic impacts with climate change, economic expansion into the Arctic. And right now, our preliminary results are indicating that there is an impact of ship noise on narwhal behavior. And ultimately, when we have our full results, those will be placed into the hands of the decision makers in the communities we work with. And yes, thank you everyone for coming today. Thank you so much, MathWorks team, for supporting us and helping us throughout this year. The people in our lab, UCSD, it's been a really great time working, and I'm happy to continue working on this project moving forward.